Hi, and welcome to Astrology for the People. This is for the new moon in Cancer on the 16th of July at 11:24 a.m. So it's an astrological forecast, an energy forecast, and we're going to look a little bit at what the planets are doing, but mostly at how we can work with these influences to, in this case, let the waves not smash us too hard into the earth. To flow with the cosmic tides rather than against them. I'll get into that for you now. Welcome. So, hi. I come bearing a message of intensity, but it's going to be a really interesting couple of weeks. And I'm glad to be able to forewarn you guys of some of these dynamics because they're not negative, they are intense. They are emotionally chaotic, but it's going to be an interesting month actually. And you know, forewarned is forearmed. If we can be empowered in this, there's also some beautiful, beautiful opportunities present, which is exciting. So yeah, there are two main aspects that I'm going to touch on today. And I'll give you the bad news first. So this new moon is happening at almost exactly the same time as a Mercury-Mars conjunction that is opposite Pluto, which is really interesting. We've got Mercury and Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn. And there's a bit of a sense here of our logical mind and the action that we would like to be taking being very much at odds with our deep unconscious desire. So it's interesting. This kind of flows on from what I wrote about on the full moon when I had no voice. Yeah, we've got Mercury and Mars in Cancer, like I said, and that's quite moody. And when they're both conjunct, it's interesting. We want to watch what we say this next couple of weeks after this new moon, particularly because relationships are still in the spotlight. And that will continue to be the case. We're going to have Venus going retrograde on the 26th, I believe, as well. So definitely a big month for relationships, particularly with all of this stuff going on in Cancer. One of the big themes that's being drawn to the surface and having the light shone upon it is our needs, our emotional needs, those which are met and those which are unmet. And with that, of course, comes the question, whose responsibility is it to meet our needs? So this kind of leads me into the second aspect that I wanted to touch on, being this beautiful grand trine that's taking place. It's a tiny bit loose, but it's very relevant, between the sun and the moon up in Cancer, because it's the new moon in Cancer, Saturn down in Scorpio, in the last degrees of Scorpio, and Chiron in Pisces. And what we're seeing here, to skip too much of the jargon, is essentially a really powerful opportunity for healing, and that coming through a willingness to take responsibility, a willingness to be patient, a willingness to have self-discipline. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing those words come out of my mouth. Self-discipline. I've been doing a shocking job of this lately. I'm much preferring to watch movies and curl up wrapped in blankets with a hot water bottle and not get out of bed too early in the morning. And I'm really feeling the Cansarian influence. But Saturn, this discipline really is the gateway for the next bit, more than even at any point in the past that I've shared that with you guys. Yeah, I think I wrote down in capital letters, stay in your integrity, particularly with this Pluto, particularly with this unconscious desires. And if we've got unmet needs and then all of a sudden we see someone else who might be able to meet those needs for us, you know, obviously I'm not qualified to comment on any given situation, but I would say in 99.9% of cases an affair is a really bad idea. So bear that in mind, because it could be a little bit sexually charged. And when we think someone is going to meet our needs, straight away we get this greener pastures thing going on. Grass is greener on the other side. Yeah, but really that's an illusion, because we project upon to the world our unmet needs, when really the only people that can meet our needs is us. And if that means, you know, your needs aren't being met in your current relationship and you need to reevaluate that, That's not a negative thing. That's actually a really responsible thing to do, particularly with this Venus retrograde. Like Mercury retrograde, there's a revision, a reevaluation, any of those re's that takes place. So yeah, there's a certain amount of emotional chaos that comes with a Venus retrograde as well. What I would really encourage would be to absolutely look closely at what your needs are and how you can get those needs met, and think outside the box. But I wouldn't rush into any big decisions during this Venus retrograde. So that's kind of, we're looking at that running through from the 26th through till October, when it finally fully moves out of the shadow zone. I believe the retrograde itself, though, is over by the start of September. Yeah, decisions may not stick. Relationships are going to get tested. I would say really check in with yourself before you create unnecessary trouble in this kind of period. It's like, does that need to be said? Do I need to take this action, or can I really go inwards first and have a look at my motives and have a look at my unconscious drivers and bring some of that up to the surface? Self-responsibility is going to be a really, really key tool in this time, because it will be emotionally chaotic. So if we can create structures for ourselves that are based in integrity, it's going to be, yeah, a lot more straightforward and a lot less messy. You know, it's going to be a messy couple of weeks anyway. We don't want to make it any messier if we can help it. So, that's kind of where that's at so far. I'm just going to check my other page here. I did make notes today. So there's a lot going through my mind, and I really wanted to get that across to you guys. So yeah, that was the other thing I was going to touch on. So, internal versus external freedom. If we start to feel trapped, it's very easy to blame our circumstances. It's very easy to blame the world. It's going to be a really big invitation in the next couple of weeks. If we start feeling that stirring of, I need more freedom, I need more this, it's like, how much of that's coming from the inside rather than from the outside? Can we make choices, healthy choices, that can cultivate more of that for us, rather than stepping into blame or stepping into projecting that onto our partners? So that's one thing to look at. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm a big believer in the quote, if you want something, you'll find a way. And if you don't want it, you'll find an excuse. And that's going to definitely ring very true. So yeah, an invitation to look closely at that. And one more thing that I definitely wanted to touch on was this need for balance really coming to the surface with this Venus retrograde. So if one party in the relationship is doing a lot more than the other party towards household duties or childcare or work and money, that's going to get loud. That's going to get really loud. Particularly for women in this day and age, we're finding that, and this is something that the stats show, this is, not necessarily true for your relationship or person by person, but this is what the stats show, is that in couples where both parties work full time, the woman is still doing something like twice as much of the domestic duties and 3 times as much of the childcare. So something to be really aware of is that particularly women, although men do this as well, there's a tendency to really self-sacrifice. And I was talking a little bit about this in the 7 Minutes of Wisdom around self-care, is that, when we're self-sacrificing, as much as we try and push any kind of anger or resentment to the side, it's there. It's like you can only be so nice and deny your own needs for so long before that resentment is going to bubble up, no matter how noble and generous you are. In fact, the more noble and generous you are, the more likely there is to be resentment. Because if there isn't balance and your needs aren't being met, no matter how noble you want to be, no matter how much you think or you say to yourself, I can do this, I can take care of it, it's up to me, that resentment will still be there. It's a bit inevitable. So there's an amazing book that I would strongly recommend to you. I'm trying to remember the author's last name and I can't for the life of me, because I actually have this book lent out at the moment. But his first name is Kelly, and the book is called Don't Be Nice, Be Real. And I'd say that would be an asset, for this next period. Being aware, though, that you don't necessarily need to blurt out everything that you learn immediately. Just being aware, like I said, about that Mercury-Mars conjunction, and pick your battles. Maybe before you blame your partner for a need of yours that's not being met, there's that real opportunity to first look at how you could go about meeting that need. First, take responsibility for having that need and that being your need, rather than just going, it's your responsibility to do this for me. Well, actually, it's your responsibility to do that for you. And then if you want to go about bringing someone else in to assist them with meeting that need, that's something that can take place, but it can be done in a loving, conscious way that's full of integrity, rather than by pointing the finger and blaming and saying, it's your fault I'm unhappy. Oh, yeah, so there's a whole lot in one hit, beautiful people. It just kind of tumbled out. I would suggest that this could probably use another listen if you really want to take the most of it. The beautiful thing about a video is you can go back and listen again. We're going to find that this Venus retrograde will be occurring, like I said, in the Mercury retrograde, in a different house depending on your natal chart. So if you want to look at that, I'm offering readings, I can do that for you. Otherwise, really cultivating a positive structure that's going to support you emotionally over the next bit. Whether that's, I come back to it again, taking time in the morning or taking time in the evening. A little bit of routine even, where you're giving to yourself and you're kind of centering yourself, because it will actually save time. It will save a lot of time that would be wasted on fighting or arguing or some other way of expressing the lack of centeredness that you're feeling. So I really encourage that. Reach out if you need support. Might wrap it up for now. I have to go get back on mummy duty. Dad, my little boy's dad, is having a well-earned night with the guys tonight, so he's going to be heading off shortly. I will see you very, very soon. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I love you very much. I really do, all of you. It's lovely to be able to offer this and know that it's appreciated. I love your messages and comments and feedback and stuff, so keep it coming, and I'll talk to you very soon. Take care.